Welcome to Haunt Topic Radio, the podcast for haunters by haunters. These are our scary visions.
Welcome back, haunters, to another episode of Haunt Topic Radio. We're rolling into the holiday haunt season. Do you guys put on or attend Christmas haunts? I know every year it seems like more and more haunts are starting to branch out into Christmas-themed events. Maybe some Krampus parades, Krampus events are becoming really popular. Let us know. Join our Facebook group, Haunters Toolbox, on Facebook. It's a free group to join. Introduce yourself. Let us know if you attend holiday events or put holiday events on. In this episode, we wanted to interview some Halloween haunt enthusiasts. We got a hold of Nick and Beverly Pappas. They travel all across the United States, Canada. They've been to over 160 different haunted attractions, spanning from east to west, north to south. They've been going to haunts since 2011. So they've seen trends along the way. They attend different haunted attractions. They've seen scare actors perform. They've seen changes over the last 13 years. How midways have gotten bigger, how scare acting has gotten better, how theming has gotten better. So we wanted to get some of their perspective on attending attractions, what they've seen from different states, how things have changed for the best and the worst. They got some cool stories of events that they've been to and done and experienced, so you gotta hang on and finish up this episode. There's a lot of good content in here, some good stories. We hope you have a great holiday with your family and friends. If you're doing haunting events, that your events are successful. If you're attending any Christmas events, then let us know. Post us some photos and videos over on Haunters Toolbox on Facebook. We really like to see those. On a programming note, we are having some technical difficulties with HauntersToolbox.com. If you go there to sign up, it may let you sign up, but you will not be receiving any credentials or any emails. We are having an issue with one of our plugins not working right, so we've been back and forth on that. So if you guys are experiencing any difficulties with the website, please know that we are working on it as best as we can, trying to get those up. Current members should be able to access the videos and trainings over there. We're just having a hard time signing up new members at the moment. So once we figure that out, we'll get it back running it up 100%. Let's roll into it. Our conversation with Beverly and Nick Pappas. Good evening, everyone. It is now October and Halloween has passed.
You mean it's November?
I mean, yeah. See, I'm still stuck in October. And my wife already put the Christmas tree up. So.
Oh gosh.
It's early. It's early this year. Usually it's after Thanksgiving, but tonight we were talking to Nick and Beverly. I'll let you say your last name because I forgot to ask you.
It's Pappas.
Pappas, okay.
Yeah. And
these guys have been traveling the country since 2011. They've been to, how many different haunts have you been to?
Probably you had asked us, and we figured it's around 160, 170 unique haunts, and then but many of them we've gone to many times over the years. Multiple times.
And you traveled how many miles just this year going?
This year, probably about 3,500. And that was split up with about a week and a half in between them. Normally, it's a contiguous trip. Usually starts early September and doesn't end until first week of November.
Wow! So we were to come. You guys have a lot of experience in seeing different haunts. A lot of us don't get that opportunity to do that because we're too busy at our own haunt, or we get to go to like some of the haunt tours and stuff like that and see different haunts. It's about the only opportunity that we get to go. So your perspective is important because you guys have been doing it for so long and seen so many haunts. And when I heard you guys, I follow your trip on Facebook all the time, just seeing where you guys are going and been. So I thought that your story would help a lot of people out to hear your story and understand a little more about the evolution of haunted houses and haunted attractions and what they've seen over the years. So,
well, we thank you for the opportunity, and we're glad that we're that interesting to other people. So we'll do our best.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you guys got started doing that.
It actually kind of started back in the like 1992, when we got married. We had a Halloween party there then, and I've loved Halloween my whole life. And Beverly has too, but not to the extent that I did. But she used to have Halloween parties as well, small ones. Well, then it morphed into probably about 98. We started taking like 8 weeks to set up, and then it was always an invitation only party for about 60 or 70 people. And like I said, it took 8 weeks to set up. We had we had food catered so we could have a full dinner for everybody, and it was a blast. And everybody's like, "Y'all should run your own haunted house. Y'all could do it. We love your your party." And I'm like, I've been to haunts. We could never do it. And then we probably 2010, a buddy of mine sent me an email, and he said, and he was one that went to the party for years, and he said, "You ought to go to this." And it was HauntCon. And I was like, never heard of it. And so Beverly and I were like, do you think we should go, or are we going to stick out? We're obviously older, and we're like, maybe we won't really fit in. We don't know. So we went. It was like a long lost family. As soon as we were there, everybody was so accepting and so nice, and we had a blast going to all the haunts. And we were absolutely hooked on traveling and seeing haunts at that point. So that's really kind of how the evolution, how it went. And then 2018 is when we said no more parties. We're doing nothing but going on the haunt tours for ourselves, because we're just too old to do the party.
But we could travel around.
Yeah, the traveling's really the tough part, but it's just so fun.
So you drive. I mean, how many miles are you averaging a year? Usually, when it's like peak season, what do you usually travel?
Probably 4,000, 4,500. 2018 or 2019 was our biggest year. That was almost 6,300, I think. We went up into Canada. We started in Jacksonville, Florida, went over into Texas, Louisiana, and then up into Oklahoma, and then all the way up to Chicago, and then into Canada a little bit. Came down into Buffalo, went all through Connecticut, and then Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, a lot in Ohio, Pennsylvania, then North Carolina, and then it's really, we've never been west of like Texas ever. And I have a health issue where I can't go to high altitude. So Beverly it's a hard thing to plan for her. She's got to look at altitudes, and that's why I can't go past Texas, because the Rocky Mountains, I can't get over the height, the altitude.
Can't get over them.
Yeah, I can't get over them without having to go high altitude, and I can't fly. So it's pretty much there's some haunts that may be really cool that are high altitude. Well, I'll never get to see them, and it's sad for me because I love them and I would love to see them.
But there are still quite a few nice haunts. East of the Rockies. There's a few, I'm sure.
West of
the Rockies.
East of the Rockies. There's probably still a few you haven't visited yet that are east of the Rockies. There's nice ones west of the Rockies and in the Rockies. What can I say? But
yes. Yeah, there's definitely some we haven't seen. I mean, there's so many. I mean, we heard of some just on this last trip that we never heard of, and they were awesome. I mean, it just shocks me how many really good ones are out there that we didn't even know existed, because we live in Florida. People up in Ohio or North Carolina or whatever, they may know, the local people. But, I put a post out there that North Carolina, we never have haunt tours. And there's a lot of really good haunts there that, to me, don't ever get showcased. And if you don't do what we do, you wouldn't even know they were there. And it's a pity. They're really good.
What do you think? Do you think it's the marketing that they're having a hard time with, or is it the branding?
Well, it's just they don't do nationwide marketing.
Yeah,
so
they just do local stuff. So Florida, I'm never going to hear about it. And people here in Jacksonville, they would never hear about it. Why would you? Not many people do what Beverly and I do. So why would you advertise?
Why would you ever know down here in Jacksonville that Netherworld exists in Atlanta? They're not going to market way out of the Atlanta region.
And also, Netherworld doesn't really need to market. They're known, they're big. But these other ones that are real big locally, they could be so much more well known if there was like a haunt tour or something. I think it would get the word out. I just think it's a shame that some of these haunts that I just heard in passing, and then we finally went to them and we're like, wow, these are awesome.
That's what I liked about HauntCon when it moved around, because they would do, then they would do a haunt tour around it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really got us into it. I mean, first HauntCon was Louisville, then we had Pittsburgh, and then Dallas, then Houston. I mean, it was awesome. Every year was a different city. A lot of those cities I'd never been to. I'd never been to Pittsburgh, and to Louisville. But now we've gone back. That's the thing. Those are the ones we visit multiple times. Usually the ones that we've seen, been on haunt tours with. And then also friends from Trans where we've met, we go see their haunts because they asked us to come see them. And then we're like, man, we love that. So we're in that region. We're going back again.
The also was a Terror Tours with Troy. I think his tour thing runs. I think he moves around different places too. So that'd be good if
Troy's done it.
We couldn't go this year, but we've been the last 2 years with him when it was in Texas.
And they were very well done. They were fun. He was very accommodating, and
we saw lots of haunts.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that his were more personalized, and I really liked that, and I appreciated it. And I felt that he worked hard, and it paid off because we had fun. We saw a lot of haunts, and it felt like he cared if you enjoyed it. You could tell he tried hard to make it fun. We appreciated that.
Yes, he's a hard worker.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
tell us,
especially in those cities like Houston or Dallas, driving in those cities nowadays is just murderous. I mean, it's awful, and to be able to pay a one-time, overall fee just to get on the bus and let them do the driving and shoot. That's awesome.
That's a huge, in our opinion, too, because of all the driving we do. I hate driving in these giant cities, big cities. New York, we've gone to see a haunt in Queens, believe it or not. I'll never do that again. Nothing against the haunt, but it was a nightmare driving a Toyota Sequoia through New York City, and so I love going to the haunt tours because they show us a bunch, but I don't have to do any driving. I just hop on a bus. I think it's awesome.
And the fact that you're doing it with dozens of other people, there's that that whole group thing. When you have a whole bunch of us weirdos on a bus that all have the same interest, it makes it's a whole different world than driving around by yourself and meeting up with other people there.
No question. It's like we're back with our haunt family. We all have a blast. Because our friends here in town asked us, like, what's it like when y'all go on these tours? I said, you remember when you were in college and you just had a week-long fun thing going on? That's what it's like. It's a week of just absolute fun with your friends. You don't think about anything. You don't worry about anything. You just have a blast. And it's like, why would I not go? It's so fun. I want to go as long as I can physically. I love it.
Yeah, the only thing you really need to worry about is make sure you're on the bus early enough. Otherwise, it's carefree.
That's right. And watch out for Tater with the squirt gun full of whatever that stuff is.
Is that bus number 2 or something? Is that the party bus?
Yeah, we're usually bus number 1, and we love Tater. Nothing against Tater, but we're so excited when we get there. Beverly's like, hurry, the bus is here. And we'll be like first in line every time. And we have our friends out in Texas and Lake Charles, Louisiana, Alabama, a buddy near Birmingham. All of them, they go with us, and we all get up real early. We get on the front of the bus, and so I've got so many pictures over the years. We had pictures with Scott Morrow in the front of the bus. He would sit with us because he was like the bus captain the last few years, and that's when we got to meet him. And I loved him, but he's passed now. But we got to meet him, and Susan McManus is. It's just a wonderful group of people. That's it.
I think Scarlet badges are one of the smartest things I've seen in the industry in a really long time. Scarlet badges are basically either pins or embroidered patches, kind of like merit badges, as they are, somewhat named after, from Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Brownies, and where after you've accomplished something, you can wear the brag tag of the embroidered patch. Some haunts put them on jackets, some put them on t-shirts, some put them on, with the pins, I've seen them put them on lanyards. But the neat thing about them is they are very specific in what they are rewarding. And they're haunt-based images that reflect what's being rewarded. It's retention, it is bringing people back, and it's actually giving your haunters, your haunt performers, the ability to share that they are haunt performers. And, oh really, you're a scare actor. Where do you do that? And then they will insert the name of your haunt right there. So it's also marketing. I've always been a big fan of Scarlet badges. I think they're great. So check them out, scarletbadges.com. No, that is not a paid advertisement. That is just my recommendation. I think it's really cool.
ScottSwinson.com.
So is there any place that you haven't been that you want to go to?
Yes.
What's that one attraction?
I'm so mad we weren't able to get there this year because that was my goal and we just didn't make it. I want to go to Markoff.
I want to go there very badly because we went to East Coast Hunters this April, whenever that was, and everybody went to Markoff. So I'd always heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it because we live in Florida. And everybody's like, oh, my God, you got to see it. So I really want to go. And then I don't know what happened, but we didn't get to go this year.
Yeah.
We couldn't go that high up.
It didn't happen. So, no, I mean, we have to skirt around some mountains. I mean, we have to go the long way, but that's okay. We're used to that. But that's one place that's on the top of my bucket list. And I think another one is Reaper's Revenge in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
It might be a little rough for Nick for altitude-wise, but I'll just leave him at the bottom of the mountain.
You know what's funny, though, when you ask that, like sometimes because of, things that are out of our control, we'll end up finding haunts that we never had heard of, and they were actually very good. Like one year, and I don't want to take over the whole conversation, but I'll just say real quick. One year our goal was we're going to Headless Horseman in Ulster, New York, Michael Juby's place, because we had heard a lot about it. We're like, we are going. And then we're going up there, and then there was a hazardous chemical spill on the road, a semi-turn, and they said, we sat there for 3 hours, and I was like, this is awful. We're going to miss the haunt. And then we only had that one day to do it. And I told Beverly, find something else nearby, find a haunt. So she found Brighton Asylum in Passaic, New Jersey. So we drove there, didn't know anything about it, met Rich Gonsi, the owner, loved it. It was awesome. Never even heard of it.
We've been back twice.
We've been back 2 other times, and just because we had to go because there was a chemical spill, we couldn't make it to where we were going.
There's a little bit of intervention there that...
That's it.
Rich was saying, okay, I need people to come see me. I need some new people to come see me. And suddenly, lo and behold, there was a chemical spill. So
it was crazy. When I told Michael Juby that we were going and we couldn't make it because of the chemical spill, and he said, you promised me you're coming next year. And he said, come and look for me. I said, okay. So the next year we drove all the way back up to New York and we went.
Going back to Markoff's, that's Markoff's Haunted Forest. Where's that located at?
Nick Markoff owns it.
It's in Virginia, the west of, I don't know, it's in the middle of nowhere.
See, that's scary for me because Virginia, you start thinking the mountains. So Beverly has a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah, it's due west of D.C. I know that. But anyway, I don't know if it's not all the way over to Roanoke. I'm not really sure. But
yeah, I've seen the videos and the photos. It's great. The set design's great. Rania behind some of that too. She does a lot of the set design.
Yes.
But yeah, that's
Rania. Yeah, Pete.
Yep.
Yeah. I just recently became friends with her on Facebook. I've seen her forever on Facebook, and I realized she worked up that area. So I'm like, I need to friend her. So hopefully I'll bump into her when we finally do make it.
Yeah, and Craig's in the chat, and he said you came to Terror Isle on Troy's tour.
Yes, love that one. I mean, there are so many unique haunts we go to, and that one was very unique.
That was on Terror Tours.
Yeah, and they had escape rooms in the middle of the haunt that they used during the season. It was very cool. I loved the haunt. It was a lot of fun. The town it was in was unique, and I liked that. It was very different.
It's all pirate themed and
pirate themed.
Yes,
it was very well done, and we enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad you're on, Craig.
He said he might pop in and ask some questions in a little bit. So
okay, all right.
So take us back to when you guys first started experiencing haunted attractions and compare those to today. What kind of things did you see the big comparisons? I know, tech-wise, the haunted attractions have gotten so technically advanced, and screens and projections and animatronics, but then I kind of miss the old JC haunts when you just had a stick in a trash can and you scare somebody with it. So what kind of things have you seen over the years? What do you like? What do you dislike?
Well, I think kind of just to get it out of the way is I think there's a lot more security all the way around, and of course a lot of that is because the fire marshal in your area demands it now. Things have changed, things have happened.
Well, safety, because there's
and there's been extra personnel for safety features wanding you or going through the metal detector thing or whatever. So security and just safety of all the haunts. There's some states that don't seem to care. But in general,
Yeah.
Most states have a whole lot more codes and laws around safety and security. So, which, we appreciate that. So I know we do. I don't know how much the haunt owners do, but we do. So I think that's one thing. I think another thing that we've noticed in the last several years is parking. You used to just park, and now you pay and park.
It's more regimented now, too.
Yes.
It's a big deal. It's not just willy-nilly parking. It's like being at Disney almost.
Right, because they got to maximize every bit of space they have for cars, because more and more people are going to haunts.
Yeah.
And so therefore they've got to, only got so much land to put it on.
Yeah, they don't want to make their neighbors mad. They don't like people parking all in, especially the ones that are rural, out in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you parking like in front of other people's houses or in their yards. They want you on their property,
And that parking, usually what we've noticed is cash only. Some of them have squares out there, but and we've noticed too this year, more than in any other year, is VIP parking. So instead of paying $5 or $10, you're going to pay $10 or $20 to park if you want a VIP up close parking place. So that's something that has changed, I think, over the years. I think one thing we've noticed too is on the sets themselves inside of the haunt. Whereas before, you'd have a old couch or something they found at Goodwill or on the side of the road with an old chair and whatever. It's not so much like that anymore. I mean, at these bigger haunts, you see them Hollywood design.
Yeah, Hollywood. Very nice quality. Even though they may be distressed, you can tell it's not just junk that they found on the side of the road.
Yeah, and and what comes to mind, of course, is like 13th Gate in New Orleans. I mean, in Baton Rouge, Netherworld, Nashville Nightmare has some really top quality sets. So just the set design as a whole, I think, is much better, and even those on trails and hay rides, the sets are bigger.
Well, a good example of that is Woods of Terror.
Yeah.
Woods of Terror has always been very good. It's one of our favorites, but it used to be more raw. And now, they've built some new, beautiful, big buildings, multi-story, and it's polished now. It's really evolved. Woods of Terror has done a good job. And I'm not just picking out Woods of Terror. Everybody's done very well, and I don't see any of them have gone down. Everybody is up their game, and like Hell's Gate, oh my God! Talk about Hollywood quality, beautiful. And then you got Dent, which is really perfectly themed throughout the whole haunt. Go ahead, Beverly.
So, and then I would say, as a whole, that acting has gotten so much better and so much more polished.
Yes.
I know a lot of haunts, have folks come in and do some preseason training with them. Some of them start in March, and once a month they'll have actor training. Or some of them will wait till August and bring somebody in 2 or 3 weekends in a row to train their actors. Some of them do their training in-house. The people that have been there for years and years may do the actor training. And I think, I don't know how the haunts or actually haunt owners are actually doing it, but we find that the retention of actors is better now, whereas I think 15 years ago, it'd be like new crews every year.
Yeah,
but now,
I will say too, though, we have heard from haunt owners too. Seems like some of them are paying people to come train their actors, and they'll bring them in from other cities, other states, or whatever. So
yeah, and so the retention thing, I really haven't been able to pinpoint exactly how they do that. Maybe it's just people love it and they can't wait till September comes and do it again. But we've noticed there's more people that have been there years and years at these different haunts, whereas having new crews every time, which is good, because those people, you're probably putting them in some key positions, whereas if it's every year, different people are getting lead positions, whatever. And it's something to work your way up towards. If you're a young kid and, hey, gosh, one day I hope I get to be the team lead over the insane asylum or whatever.
The ones that have been retained, they typically end up being like managers of their area or whatever. And then they manage the newer people. So I don't remember hearing that before. It used to be there was a lot of turnaround, but it seems now they're retaining them more.
And I think another thing is merchandise has changed a lot. It used to be you come out of a haunt, sitting up on a tree, would they be hanging up 2 shirts and have somebody sitting at a table? You wanted to buy one of those 2 shirts. Well, now you go into haunts, and when you come out, it's like Disney World, right? You get out of a ride and you get dumped into the shop.
Yeah, they make you go. A lot of them make you go into their sales, their shopping, versus just letting you out back, in the midway or whatever.
Don't give away our secrets.
That's the way theme parks do it.
That is very different. We don't remember that at all before.
Right, in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been happening more and more.
Yeah.
And you're not just selling 1 or 2 shirts. There's 15 shirts to pick from, and hoodies, and blankets, and pictures.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
And themes.
Of course, we buy some.
And, and you almost a miniature spirit Halloween here, And so that it's been interesting, and I know that that's a good moneymaker. I mean, why not? If you have the space, do it. And, people love having T-shirts. And there's a couple of haunts we go to regularly that they date their shirts. And now it's a big deal if you've got a shirt that's 10 years old that says whatever haunt on it, And so it's like become almost a collector's item. Everybody has to get their shirt every single year. That's an interesting thought, too.
Now, you were saying that things have gone Hollywood. So not only just the haunts themselves, but merchandising has gone Hollywood, too, huh?
Exactly.
Yes, it has.
Yes, it has. And then I think another thing that is, I guess, is working and it's catching on, and we noticed only in the last couple of years, are having bars on site.
Yeah.
And, for some towns or states, that it's very difficult to get that license
Florida,
to do that.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, here it's very
It
difficult.
ain't going to happen in Florida.
Well, it did happen.
What? It's
13th floor Jacksonville.
Did they actually have a bar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
it's hard to do.
So
liquor licenses in Florida are extremely expensive, and there are not many of them.
they're hard to get.
They're hard to get.
And but I know Factory of Terror up in Ohio, they have it. Woods of Terror just put in a huge bar that's really cool in the center of their midway. And there's several 13th floor properties around that have bars, or they'll have something inside of the haunt as you're going through, and then you get to go through the secret bar if you bought the VIP package or whatever. Anyway, so it seems like that is growing. I don't know how far it will end up going, but I think the ones that have done it are very happy with the outcome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think, maybe a trend that's going to get bigger. And
I will say one real quick thing, that I've noticed regions of the country, or maybe even on state boundaries, whatever, state lines, you can almost tell where you are, what state you're in by the haunt. Like Alabama, it's like, you're in Alabama. When you go to a haunt there's some crazy stuff that goes on in Alabama. And,
stuff that wouldn't fly in other states or other counties.
Yeah, or it's just more raw, and it's more, and just the people that live there. Nothing against people in Alabama. We have a lot of friends there, but those people they're tough, and it's just a different vibe.
So, there's a lot more hands-on in Alabama.
Yeah, a lot more hands-on, and just a lot more intimidation, and usually they're just crazier haunts.
Yeah,
there's some crazy stuff in Alabama.
Yes.
And we found out 2 weeks ago, there's some crazy stuff in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say real quick, there's a charity haunt called Booger Woods. I'd never heard of it. We went. Every one of us that went got hurt, but we came out loving it. But it really, we all got hurt in it. It was, we read on reviews, people cracking ribs in there. It was crazy.
I had the best time. It was so much fun. Anyway.
Booger. That was Booger Woods?
Yeah, Booger Woods. And
it's in Rockwell, North Carolina.
Yeah, like Rockwell. It's called Rockwell,
so
North Carolina.
Bring your shoulder pads and helmets when you go to that place.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And we, how you said that y'all, you see our stuff on Facebook sometimes. We still haven't put anything out there for the past 2 weeks because we're so exhausted when we get home. It takes like a week later till Beverly can get around to putting out. I've got tons of pictures. I'm known for my pictures, but we're so tired, we can't even worry about posting anything. It just beats us down. I'm getting old. Beverly's still young, but I'm old.
Yeah.
So Do you know what causes haunted attractions to shut down before they even get started? The top 3 roadblocks are lack of funding, lack of leadership, lack of resources. As a member of the Haunters Toolbox, you get instant access to the tools you need to start and grow your own haunted attraction business. To get started, become a member at haunterstoolbox.com. Going back to the alcohol, do you see more midways and stuff too?
Yes.
Yes, that was my next thing on my list was midways.
Okay.
We see more and more and bigger, well, first of all, midways, period.
Yes.
Bigger midways, more things to do in the midways. We've noticed that as a trend the last maybe 5 years.
We've seen more bars, like Woods of Terror now has a bar in their midway. House of Shock, when they existed, they had a big bar that was 8 people wide and 10 people deep buying drinks.
Well, but New Orleans Nightmare still has a bar.
Yeah, New Orleans Nightmare has
they took it over.
and Nashville Nightmare has them now. And I don't know, if I owned a haunt, I don't think I'd be putting a bar in there. It just seems like a recipe for problems. But everybody seems, from what we see and hear, they like having a bar.
Now, in addition to the bars, have you seen a change in food or concessions?
A little bit.
I
haven't noticed much of a difference. It's like kind of like whoever had it in their midway before is still kind of there.
And I've never seen really elaborate stuff. I mean, there's just the hot dog, maybe a pizza.
Well, as a matter of fact, though, when we went to Carol Lee Morris, he's got a place, Halloween Hollow. It's only been open 3 years. We really enjoyed that. It was very good. But he had a big pizza machine or something. It's called a big bus. It was like a food truck making pizzas. Then he also had a big concession building where he had food. And so to me, that was unheard of years ago. I never saw that. Very, very little. And Field of Screams up in Philadelphia, they have a very nice midway. Their whole haunt is very good. And they have a lot of food. It's kind of like going to a fair.
Yeah.
Like a state fair. They have, like, I don't know, I'm guessing, but like corn dogs, things like that. Pizza and stuff. Oh, and Hell's Gate, now they have a midway.
Oh yeah,
I think they have food.
They do.
And
photo ops.
What's called Legends of Fear in Connecticut. They've got now a lot more food. And you got Spooky Woods in North Carolina. They've got food. Eddie's got food in Woods of Terror.
Lake Hickory Haunts has got a big, huge midway.
Yeah.
With axe throwing and escape rooms,
and
a 3D adventure and food.
And we've also started seeing like live bands and stuff now. You never used to see that.
Oh.
Things have really, people always wondered, was the industry going to slowly die? No, it's, after COVID, everybody was kind of worried. It's definitely not dying. It's getting bigger.
And it's also, instead of a place that used to be, you go for an hour and a half, you go in, you go out, you leave. It's an all-night adventure, And that's what they want you to do.
And we enjoy it, but then it limits how many we could see because, they're usually
you try to see everything and you're there for 3 or 4 hours. You can't go to 3 or 4 different ones in a night.
That's right.
Right.
We're lucky if we can get 2 in a night now.
Do you guys pay for the VIP access and stuff to get, or do you guys like to wait?
Usually,
well, that's ticketing as a whole has changed so much. It used to be $20 to get in, go. Good luck. Now, I would say, I think half is our time ticketing.
Yeah, I would say so. Or either timed or kind of a time thing, like they'll have colors, whatever. It's still the same kind of thing.
Yeah. And so the time ticketing, of course, that all started during COVID. That stuck around, the time ticketing thing. And then what we've noticed, too, more and more, is there's more options. You can get the Express Pass, or you can get skip the line pass, or you can get the ultimate
VIP, where you get a shirt or whatever.
You get a shirt, and a photo, and a $5 coupon off of food. And actually, this year we went to a haunt. They had a VIP area. So if you had gotten that ultimate VIP pass, it really wasn't that expensive.
Yeah, that was Lake Hickory Haunts.
We've
never been there before, so here.
And that VIP area was the coolest thing because, there were several attractions you go to there. And it was like in between, You could just go in this VIP area, which was very easily found, and it was kind of in the middle of everything happening. And they had tables and chairs there. They gave you water and sodas and chips.
Chips, cookies, whatever.
Candy,
like Halloween candy. So
and there was an actor in there walking all the tables.
And it made you feel like, hey, I'm getting something for my VIP other than just getting ahead of the line. I've got a little area that I can sit down and people watch. But it's not like on some corner. It's like right in the center of everything. It was a neat idea. I've never seen it.
It was a great idea.
Yeah.
And there's probably seats in there full maybe.
Yeah.
And it was, unless you knew it was there, you wouldn't really look because it was kind of hidden by some bushes.
Well, it was like off to the side, but it was there.
Yeah.
You'd walk by and wonder, what is that area?
Yeah. And it was cool, and
neat
you
idea.
kind of, get your energy back to go do the next thing. So I thought that was a great idea, and I don't know that we've ever seen another haunt.
I've never seen that. Sort of reminds me like Transworld, where they have the VIP area, on the floor, but it's kind of like that.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. So I think too, one other thing that we kind of noticed different over the years is having 3D sets. The ones that they hand you pair of glasses, 3D glasses to go into and walk through. Way back 15 years ago, there were a few, and they were kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, I liked them. But...
And then they kind of grew in the haunts and maybe till 2018. And then after that, we've noticed it's really not a thing anymore.
It's extremely rare now to be handed a pair of glasses.
Right.
We almost never see
You'll
that.
see some old 3D sets.
We'll see sets that are painted that way, for black light, but you're not being handed glasses.
Right.
Anymore.
They just have black
That's
light in there.
stopped.
Yeah.
What?
So I think
Did COVID have anything to do with that? Do you think the fact that you don't want to pass germy glasses on to other people?
Yeah. I would think so, but I don't know. I know everything because y'all own haunts. I don't, but I'm sure you have to look at the cost of everything. But I can't imagine those glasses were that expensive. But I know it adds up when you have thousands of people doing it. But I would think just hand them a brand new pair. They can't be that expensive.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
Kind of died. It's not a thing anymore. That's for sure. Maybe it's just...
Daryl, what's your opinion on that? Are they expensive? I don't know.
I haven't really priced them out, but probably 20 or 30 cents a pair, maybe more. I don't know, like for the paper ones, right? But if you have 5,000 people, that's a chunk of change, right? And is it worth it? Yeah, it may be.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, because that's up here in Canada, things are a little bit behind. So I would like to see that. You were talking about the food trucks. We've got food. We have a food truck here at Dedmonton Haunted House. And this year we had tacos, mushroom quesadillas. We had tater tots, French fries, gourmet hot dogs that had a bunch of different stuff. And I think it did really good. We also have a bar. Don't have a midway though.
Okay. Is the bar just standalone, or is it in the haunt, like a certain room you come to? I doubt it's in the haunt.
It's not in the haunt itself, but we've got an area, our concession. We've got, it does get cold up here. We've got fire pits, but one of the things that we're selling is s'more kits. So for $5, you get s'mores for 2 people, and a stick, right? Fortunately, people aren't poking each other with the stick. They're actually enjoying their beers and their s'mores around the fire, in addition to grabbing the food and stuff from the area. Then they can come back inside. We've got photo op. We've got the entrances to all 3 attractions. So I'm interested. I was interested. This is our 11th year. I was interested to see what has been happening down, in the Southeast, right? Or, well, in the Eastern states. One of the questions that I got, where was it? You said that the acting has changed. How do you see that the acting has changed? What kind of stuff are you noticing, and what can other haunts do?
They're in character. They kind of go with the scene, but the old days, it was just people yelling, screaming in your ear as loud as they could, and I hated that. Or just coming out and, trying to shock you and scare you. But now they'll say things that are kind of appropriate for what they are. Like if they're a pig-headed cook with a butcher knife in their hand, they're talking about they want to make some pulled human instead of pulled pork, or whatever. They'll say things, or whatever. It's kind of like that. Now it's more appropriate, and they seem like they're more sure of themselves, and they do a better job.
Their timing is
their timing's better, and they just seem more confident, and it makes it more believable. I hate when they just scream in my ear. I really, that makes me not want to do it anymore. I can't stand it.
Understandable. And then there's all sorts of different levels now. Does that happen a little bit more? You mentioned that Alabama is a little bit more intimidating for some of their stuff. Is that happening both in the big and the small haunts? Do you see that? Like acting is getting better even at those rural haunts that aren't the big mega ones with multiple attractions? But
I think the acting has improved mostly in the bigger haunts.
Yeah.
Some of the small haunts, it's a little bit better, but it's kind of like the way it used to be. If they're really small, and nothing against them, because there's some, you can feel pretty uncomfortable in a small haunt we've been in places like you wouldn't believe. And thank goodness a good friend of ours that's with us, James, he's a retired deputy, and we like having him with us because we're in the middle of nowhere. And it's real sketchy.
And we don't know what them people are going to do.
And even he was like, man, this was a really sketchy place. That's the other reason I spent the money to buy a Land Cruiser, because I knew they were supposed to be real reliable. I cannot break down in these places in the middle of nowhere.
They gonna take you everywhere.
That's what real haunts are made of, right? You break down in the middle of nowhere, and it turns from a haunt into a movie script. A real-life movie script.
Like we went to Ravens Grin Inn out in Mount Carroll, Illinois. It was like 3 hours west of Chicago, but there was nothing. There was no cell towers, at least that we could get. We never could get any cell service. There were no gas stations. It was nothing but cornfields and deer running out in front of you. And it was 3 hours from Chicago, from where our hotel was. And we go to this little town of 600 people, and we're in Jim Warfield's 3-story house with a basement, so 4 stories, and nobody knows where you are. You have no cell service. And then, he talks to me, and we started the tour at 7:00. It lasted till 11:30, and then he talked to us in the parking lot till 12:30. Then we had to drive 3 hours back to Chicago. Pitch dark, no street lights, no gas, no nothing. That's when I was like, thank God I have a reliable truck.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I hear Jim's quite the character.
Yeah, I love Jim. Yeah. We've seen him twice, but I don't think we'll be able to head back anymore.
Yeah, that's Damon Carson. He's here in Mexico, Missouri. He talked to Jim. I really wanted to get an interview with Jim. I think he's having some medical issues at the moment.
Yes,
so. Yeah.
We saw him in 17 and again in 19. In those 2 years, we saw a little difference. That he was having a little bit of issues. I mean, he's older. He's in his 70s, but I think I've heard that he's we need to keep him in our thoughts.
That's right.
This podcast episode sponsored by Scarlet Badges.
We always were looking for ideas to get those actors to take it to the next level. I really want to do something that they can use more than just a meal, or they can use more than just a that a boy, that a girl. They love this stuff, but it's not really promoting a haunter. And then I sit down, Scarlet Badges comes out. That's when I realized this is amazing, because not only is it giving them an attaboy, but it's also promoting them all year round. And to promote somebody, to give somebody accolades all year round and have them be able to wear it on their shoulder with pride means a lot. This right here says this is who nailed it on this day in this year for the rest of their life, for the rest of their haunting life. And that's what I really love about this product, is you're able to give haunting to somebody an attaboy 365 days a year. And so hats off to you guys. I think this is a great product, and I wish you the best of luck because it's awesome.
Get your Scare Badges at scarebadges.com.
Speaking of like haunts like him, I know he has a story and stuff, I think, with his house. And do you guys, when you guys go to your haunts, do you research the backstories and the characters and like to see the same characters when you go and follow along with the stories?
Most of the times we do. Sometimes we,
Yeah, I mean, if, just on a whim, hey, you want to go to, some little town, Brunswick, Georgia, north of us, right? 45 minutes. Hey, look, I found they have 2 haunts there. You want to go? we'll go, yeah,
And
let's do it.
That was extremely scary.
Yeah, I mean, and those were small haunts in the middle of nowhere.
And there was no street lights. There were no dirt. There was no paved roads. We were on dirt roads, following handwritten signs on the side of the road. And we get to the so-called haunt, and it's just a double-wide trailer with crazy Georgia people in it.
And it was
and it was scary.
And
that was at midnight.
And it was $13.
It was $13.
We only take cash.
And it was called, I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Y'all keep talking. I'll remember.
Yeah, it was a crazy.
Oh, it was called Tremble Rot. Like you're trembling and you're rotting. It was called Tremble Rot, and it was $13. And it was actually not bad.
Yeah, it was good.
It was scary.
It was scary.
It was scary because where we were.
Much fun.
And like I said, we're on some back street with, some back little street with no nothing, no street. I didn't see street names.
No, me
there was
either.
nothing. And I was like, how are we going to get out of here?
And Leonard Pickle was with us, and he said, "How did y'all find this place?" I said, "Come on, Leonard, you've been to crazy."
And this was during COVID, and then they locked us in a little teeny room in there for like 5 minutes with the lights off, and it was like a closet. Me, Beverly, and Leonard. And I'm thinking, I hope these masks work because. Who knows if somebody's got COVID? And we couldn't get away from each other. It was crazy.
Sounds like some of the haunts I used to work at here in Missouri.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, we've got some dandies. We've first when I started, it was 13 single wide trailers, all welded together in a circle. So.
Oh wow.
That was my first. No, it died a long time ago, but that's kind of how I got my start in scare acting. It was
yeah.
It was the floors were falling in. There was rain coming in the roofs. It was just raw.
Oh, yeah.
Out in the country.
I think that's kind of how Ed Teribas got started. He had some trailers. And he started with that. Now he's got Erebus, which is an awesome haunt. 4-story parking garage that's been converted into a haunt, and that's up in
Detroit, Lansing, isn't it?
No, it was in Pontiac, Michigan.
Pontiac.
And that was an awesome haunt, and he's really done really well with it, but. He started out with just trailers, and it's amazing. I love the backstory of all these very famous people. That's another thing we love about the industry. We love the people in it, and we find it very interesting. I don't want to just go to a haunt. I want to go to a haunt and meet the owner. That's my thing. I like to meet them and just briefly talk to them, like, how'd you get into it? What did you have before? And what are your challenges? And we just ask that for ourselves. We just want to know. And that's it.
Well, if you're asking them what their challenges are, what kind of stuff have you heard that are challenges, and maybe how have those evolved?
Well, the big thing about evolving is this year we've heard a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot said they were a little bit down, and they think it was because of the election cycle, especially this contestant. But other than that, we used to always hear having a hard time getting staff and retaining them.
Especially right around COVID, it started.
Yeah.
And then the 2 or 3 years right after COVID, it was horrible. People couldn't find half the people that they needed.
Yeah.
And, I'd go, well, can you offer a few more dollars an hour or something? They said, we've offered people $22 an hour. They still don't want to come do it.
Wow.
And we don't know what to do.
Let's see, we've never owned a haunt, but I always thought it probably is not that hard to get people because they're young. It's fun. It's like a family. They're having fun. But apparently people don't. I guess ever since COVID, it's like work ethics kind of having a problem now. I don't know.
Yeah, so I would say really that in itself, and also insurance. It seems like everybody's fighting with their insurance company because doubled or tripled or they can't get it or whatever. But I think those are probably the two main things that we've come across, or insurance and people retention or getting people.
Yes.
Yeah, no, retention is always a thing. I was an owner for 7 years, and that was one of my biggest things too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard because you want to groom those people to get better and better, and then stay.
Well, we know a lot of the haunt owners at the haunts we go to. We always are going to new ones we never even heard of, so we don't know the owners. But a lot of them that we go to on our long tours, we do know the owners. And so a lot of them take us back and let us watch their, sort of like as they're pumping up the actors or how they get them ready for the night. And it's very interesting. And we feel fortunate we're able to see that, and
And so many
It's cool. We
different
never
styles.
realized all it. Yeah.
There's so many different styles of it. You know, you got one guy, you know, having them like it's a pep rally.
Yeah.
You know, and then the next haunt, you got the owner praying over them and with them.
Yeah.
And
then you got another haunt where they're chewing around because they're not sitting in the stations, and there's food wrappers on the ground, and you know, it's just a different vibe. It's funny to see how different haunt owners treat their people. And I'm not saying they treat them that way, but how they engage with them, you know. And also another thing dealing with haunt owners, you can kind of tell a lot about a haunt owner's personality with the way it's haunted. It's like certain haunts you can look at them and then you know the owner and you go, yep, I can see this is his haunt or her haunt. You know, it's like their personality is reflected in how they do their haunt. Some of them.
And then there's some haunt owners that are there, but they're letting somebody else run everything.
Like Dark Hour in Plano, Texas. That's Alan Hops.
Oh yeah.
That says Alan Hops throughout the whole haunt. I mean, that's him. You know, and Hell's Gate with John LaFlambeau. I mean, the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just a cool thing.
And Michael Juby up in Headless Horseman. There's not a safer haunt to go.
Yeah, he's got like how many police, but they're everywhere. I think he's a retired officer of some type, and that place is very well run, and it's secure. I mean, it's almost like they're guarding the president there. I mean, they're all got radios. I mean, really, they all have radios. He's got hidden people all around. He knows he's got his act together on that, on security.
Daryl, do you want to go those questions with Craig? You want me to?
Oh, my chat screen disappeared. Where did it go? Hold on. You start.
Craig was asking, what trends are you seeing in terms of other forms of entertainment? Escape rooms, fortune readers, axe throwing?
Well, one trend, we've started seeing live music a little bit more. I mean, not a lot, but we started seeing like Woods of Terror. He has a live band there a little bit. Carol Lee Moore didn't he have a live band there or something? We didn't see it, but I think
he had a place for it the night we were there.
Yeah, and
Lake Hickory Haunts has a live.
Lake Hickory Haunts, I think, had a DJ. Mm-hmm. And I know Brett Hayes used to have a DJ. He used to do the DJ in Seymour, Indiana, at Fear Fair. But I'm trying to think what else.
There's a lot of music at Field Screen.
Yes.
Any other forms of like side entertainment? Go ahead.
We have noticed because midways have gotten bigger that most of the midways have at least one like 5-minute or 3-minute escape room in them. I don't know how big it is. If you ask them, is it really worth having the manpower there to support it? I don't know what that answer might be.
It's weird. I've seen it pop up a little bit more now, but I've seen it from other places that had them that took them out.
Yes.
So I don't know what the answer is on that.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's like going to be a trend, you know?
Yeah.
Axe throwing, we've seen that in a few midways. Again, I never see a line at it. It just doesn't seem to be a huge event.
I almost think the people are there to go to the haunt and then, see the midway or whatever, and they want to buy shirts and stuff. It seems like people like to buy them.
Well, and people love photo ops.
And they do love photo ops.
Netherworld is the number one place to go get your photo ops right there. He's got a whole section.
Huge section. Big walkthrough sections, just photo ops.
Yes.
Is he selling the photos, or are they taking them themselves?
I think they're free. You just do. I think he does have some that you can buy, but then he does allow you to take your own pictures at some of them, and then he has others that he has photographers at, if I remember right.
And it seems like the last few years, if you buy a certain ticket level, you get a free photo with it or a free photo download,
Well, like 13th Gate in Baton Rouge, they used to have the necropolis across the street. They tore that down, and then they made that like five nice 5-minute escape rooms. They're well themed, and they have like axe throwing, and they have like carnival games,
and they have a band.
I mean, so that's I forgot about that one, but that's a big one. We haven't been there in a few years, but 13th Gate, they've got a lot there going on.
You're seeing like those curtain mazes or the ghost rides or the anything while you're waiting.
We've seen a couple of those. We were somewhere they had that coffin ride thing.
Yeah, that's pretty rare now. It seems like it was more prevalent a few years ago. And corn mazes, we see a little bit. Those seem to be all in North Carolina and maybe up in Connecticut area or something too. But don't see a lot of corn mazes at the haunts. But
yeah, I think
I don't know.
Yeah,
Either that or
maybe
you
not
just
a-
haven't gone to them.
Well,
yeah, maybe.
yeah,
not.
we have. That's the thing. We haven't been to every haunt, So there's a bunch I'm sure that are out there, and we just haven't seen them.
I will say we've seen in the last 5 years more and more hayride.
Yes.
Or zombie killing hayride.
Oh yeah, now hayrides have gone way up in complexity. They're really a lot better.
Well, the
than they used to be.
complexity of them has definitely gone way up. But just the number of them.
You got Rise in Tickfaw, Louisiana. They've got a hayride that came out of nowhere and is really good. You've got Field of Screams up in Philadelphia. Awesome hayride. You got Legends of Fear up in Connecticut. Awesome hayride.
Headless Horseman.
Headless Horseman's a well-known awesome hayride. I mean, hayrides have not only are more prevalent as far as we're concerned, but they're way better than they used to be.
And it's a shame the negative publicity that
the bad things have happened lately.
Earlier this year. I mean, that's a shame,
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you mentioned that you see more time ticketing. How has that changed the queue lines? Like, there's more people going to these things. Time ticketing is, kind of been going on since COVID, but has the queue line changed a lot? Things happening, entertainment in the queue line?
I think it's helped. I don't know if it's changed entertainment, but I think it's helped I think it's a big plus because now people are going to the Midway because they don't want to miss their place in line. Then they know I can go buy stuff and do these other things and spend money there because I don't have to worry about losing my place in line. I think it's a great idea.
What else are you seeing in the midways? Are you seeing besides food and alcohol? You doing like games? I know here at the Dead Factory they added games and a movie. You can watch a movie while you're waiting. They have food trucks, washers. You can throw washers, sit around campfires.
Around the bottles,
Oh. Yeah, all that stuff you just mentioned. The food trucks are pretty rare, but we do see some little buildings they build for, small.
We see food trucks as smaller haunts.
Yeah.
They'll have one outside, a pizza truck or something.
But they seem to do well.
Yeah.
The food. Trying to think.
I know.
You do see some of them, the bigger haunts will have like carnival games, but it seems to be more like food oriented, like maybe like you said, s'mores and things. Cause
food and photo op.
Yeah.
Some of them axe throwing, a couple of escape rooms thrown in. But there's nothing else that really sticks out. A lot of them, like Daryl said about having like some more kits around a big campfire. We've seen that numerous places.
And it seems to do very well.
And
especially with the teenagers and the 20-year-olds.
Yes.
Who doesn't love s'mores? Well, except if you don't like chocolate.
Right.
But
and the donut machines are a big deal.
That's a big thing. Like Spooky Woods, they have the apple cider donuts. They're like mini donuts. There's little orbits.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in a few places. To me, more people ought to have that. They sell like hotcakes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see,
indeed.
then you see hot cocoa and stuff, things like that.
And apple cider.
Apple cider. Those are all back again in North Carolina. We saw a lot there.
Yeah.
And they do have it up in Connecticut. We saw it. Apple cider, and they had donuts. They had hot dogs, and I forget what else. But
this brings up another question. Just something I thought of. You said seeing lots more hot chocolate and stuff. What kind of percentage of haunts are outdoors, partially outdoors, or totally indoors?
Seems like more of them are outdoors now.
Yeah,
we don't see many of them that are like in strip malls anymore.
It's weird. 15 years ago, it was a lot more strip malls. We think.
Or maybe that's just what we went to. I don't know. But we're
now,
also thinking back to HauntCon, and a lot of them were there. They had them a lot out too, but it seems like more of them now are
on farms and
stuff like that. But there are a lot of freestanding buildings too. Dark Hours 100% in building. Neverworld's 100% in the building. Hell's Gate. But then you've got like a hybrid like Headless Horseman. It's got lots of buildings, nice buildings, plus a huge hayride, plus a big midway. I mean, Legends of Fear is all outdoors.
Yeah, Brighton Asylum's all indoors.
Yes, and Woods of Terror is kind of all outdoors, but it's a lot of buildings on a trail that go deep into the woods. And Spooky Woods in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's all outside too, but it's got like permanent structures that are built that are like the code, like concrete block buildings like Disney would make. It's just, you see a lot of different ways of doing things.
Well, that's what we love about this industry, is because everybody has a different idea. You were talking about the owners, and like you can see their ideas and their designs in their haunts. There's what's available. Like, can you get a building, or do you need to go outside of town to find a place to do your haunt? That's going to massively change things. Some places in the north, it does get a little chilly in October. I know we were lucky. We only had 2 nights where it touched below freezing outside, because one of our haunts starts inside and 2/3 of it ends up outside in a graveyard. Well, our graveyard, not necessarily a real one. It starts off inside. The queue line is inside. You get in, you go through the first 10 rooms, and then you're outside in amongst the tombs and in a mini forest, and it gets a little chilly outside.
Well, that's the thing too, though. The South and North Carolina area, Georgia, Alabama, we have to worry about hurricanes. When do they come? They come during haunt season a lot. Mm-hmm. And if you have an outdoor haunt, last year was bad for a lot of people, especially up in Connecticut area and all. I think they had more than half their nights were rained out. They couldn't even open.
Yeah.
That's very bad. So that's something to think about too,
And then in Texas, when it's not having a hurricane, it's 110 degrees in October.
Yes.
It's like, what do you do?
Some of those haunts down there, phobias and...
Yeah, last year we went to one on the Terror Tour, which was called Purgatory, and we were in shipping containers in Houston in the pretty much the summer still. It was hotter than hell in there. And it was, it was fun going through it, but it would have been great if it was up in Chicago or Edmonton or somewhere. But
were those sweat stains from the heat, or because you were scared, right?
From the heat. It was rough in one of them. We got kind of stuck in because it had a lot of balls in it and all, and we couldn't get through it. It was tough for everybody, and we were baking in that thing. And so I was like, I don't know if I would do that early in the season. But yeah, there's a lot to think about. I never even realized you have to even worry about the temperatures too. And see, that's the thing up north, Ohio and all. It's cool because it's awesome that the temperature feels like Halloween. When you're in Lakeland, Florida, bottom of Florida, it's 90 degrees, 85. It doesn't feel like Halloween.
With 95% humidity, it's a little tough to make it feel like fall.
I mean,
it doesn't feel like fall. It's a challenge.
I mean, here today it was 80 degrees.
Yeah.
So,
right now I'd kind of go for that, but that's something a little
yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice here. We got 30s in the morning, and probably by mid-afternoon it's probably 65, 70. So it's about a 50-degree swing a lot of days.
Yeah, we were not for Halloween. We were on the trip, but this was not a good Halloween here as far as temperature-wise. It was hot.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it ruins it for me as far as trick-or-treating goes.
Yeah, it just makes it uncomfortable,
Yes. It just doesn't feel like Halloween. It doesn't feel like fall.
No. Yeah, Missouri, we get all the colors and all the fall, and I had a driveway full of leaves and decorated my house and did a little station inside the garage, and it was probably about 40 degrees, and the kids were dressed up and they had the layers on, and it was a good time.
I mean, that's perfect weather. I love it.
Yes, it is. That's the way I like it. Craig was asking on the photo ops. I know we talked about paid and free selfie stations at that one haunt, but are you seeing in general any like paid photos? I know selfie stations are becoming more of a thing. I know they're starting to put up more stations. I'll start seeing the haunts advertise those on their pages and stuff or see people taking photos with them and tagging their haunt in those. So I know they're working. Yeah. What have you guys seen?
Yeah, so I would say probably pre-COVID. It was more about you walked into a haunt, they take a picture of you with a scary actor, one of their scary actors. Then at the end of the thing, you go preview it, and you pay anywhere from $12 to $20 for it. Then they came out with, okay, now along with it, you get a digital download, which is awesome because then you could just take it all online and stick it out there on Facebook. It was a lot easier. But I think what we've been seeing the last couple of years, well, again, they've been adding free photo on those higher price tickets, which, as we know, that those photos don't cost the haunt very much anyway. That's coming as a perk to those higher price ticket options.
Yeah, like the VIP stuff.
Yeah, which I think is nice, actually. But I certainly don't see many people buying them. I mean, maybe I have it wrong. I don't know the numbers, the actual numbers at haunts and how many they're actually selling.
It's a fair amount. At least here in Jacksonville, 13th floor Jacksonville, there's always kind of 8 people in line buying them. So, when you get out, I don't know. It seems, but they're also buying shirts.
Yeah, they're buying shirts in that line too. So, I don't think it's as big a thing as when they first came out. I do think it was a big thing. I think a lot of people were buying them. And so, I don't know, that's just my thought on it, that, the VIPs are getting it, and maybe the haunts aren't making much money off of it. And since they have the equipment anyway, they throw it in there as a freebie on those higher price tickets.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, is it costs, several grand to set one of those up initially. It doesn't cost too much when you taking each picture, but the initial setup it gets pretty expensive. So you gotta increase those ticket prices and give that extra value to the customer.
Right. And that's what I kind of think, what it looks like to me, just as the guy going to visit. It looks like maybe they're really not selling that. I mean, and they still, at those haunts that, added on to those VIP packages, they'll still sell them to you if you just have a general ticket. But I don't think that there's a big demand for them. I mean, and I could have it all wrong, but that's just what it looks like.
All the VIP people that get that as a perk will go get it.
Oh, yeah, we'll go get it. We'll go, not stand in a long line, but go stand and get their picture taken and get their free picture,
Yeah, it's mostly some either your attendees standing by your banner or something, or your sign, and taking a picture with that in the background. And so then that's happy. They just tag themselves in it, their location, we're at the Dead Factory, yada, yada.
That's exactly right.
It's great when the haunts, and most of them do this too. They have their scare actors or whatever roaming around, like queue line actors, that people love taking pictures of those, and they all end up on Facebook. So that's a brilliant way to get your name out there.
Yeah. And along those,
we try to find scare actors, because Beverly likes to put those out there as part of the picture showing where we went on our tour, and we love that.
And that, along those same lines about like the icon characters, we've noticed more and more of that as well at haunts, that they're coming out with 1 or 2 icon characters, for their advertising, and for them to be roaming around in the parking or in the midway or wherever in the queue line, because people are wanting their pictures with them. So we've noticed that more of a thing too.
One of the things that we see is we have a whole bunch of roving characters that just keep people entertained in the lines. They also, in a way, sort of act as a little bit of our policing. It's like, okay, we're having some trouble characters, we're having some trouble customers and stuff, so we'll keep an eye on them. But they get lots and lots of pictures. One of the things that we don't normally do, though, is we don't have the same icon characters year after year roaming the public. Is that something that you see, that places are having that repetitive icon character that is
I think
part of their advertising?
I don't know about your opinion, Beverly. I don't think there are that many places that have, a roving icon character. I mean, there's a few. I think most of them just, no.
Look at Hell's Gate.
Well, Hell's Gate, they got Sharky.
And they got Mother, and they got the twins, and they got
you got Fluffy.
And
then you've got, but there's a lot of, I think there's more places that have just non-icon characters and just really scary looking, cool costumes, good actors. It seems like there's more of that to me than actual icon characters.
But I think there's
Lake Hickory. Every one of them, they were just a bunch of really good people, and like it was the Terror, same thing. But no, Eddie's the icon, But,
yes,
and there are a few others, but I think most of them are just roving, and I think it's good, because it kind of, you see different things every year too. It's kind of something to look forward to. Who are they going to have now?
Yeah.
in addition to the.
That's my thoughts. That's my haunt owner's thoughts, is that we have something different. We have had one repeating character and two repeating characters sort of that come back, but they're really good crowd favorites, and there's something a little different. So
What do you see haunts? What aren't they offering? Something that you would like them to start off,
Wow.
or is everything perfect?
what do you mean paved roads out to the middle of nowhere? What?
Yeah, pave me some roads. You know, I mean, really and truly, every haunt is so different. You never know what you're going to come up on. You know, we went to Miller's Thrillers. It's south of Nashville this year. You know, they have a cool, it's like a hayride, but it's not. It's you know, you have guns and you can shoot the little jelly things, you know, whatever. It's a zombie. I think that's a blast. And the kids that were on our hayride thing with us, those kids had more fun. And the thing is also there at that haunt is a long trail, like a trail that takes about 45 minutes to walk through it.
It's a very strenuous trail.
And if you're not 10, you can't go on the trail. So what the parents do, they bring them to that zombie paintball thing. And those kids love it. And the one mom I was sitting next to said, yeah, I bought 3 tickets for it, so we're just going to stay on here 3 times. And those kids were so excited. They couldn't have cared less they weren't going on that haunt trail, you know? And she said in a couple of years, so I'll be old enough and I'll be taking them on the haunt trail with me, you know? So, you know, that zombie paintball thing, we've seen it at 2 or 3 haunts maybe.
It's always fun.
But every time we've been, we've had fun.
That's one thing that I wish there was more of it. It's always fun, and it's very entertaining, and it's like a premium. It's like a premium feel to it. Usually you're on the back of a 5-ton, you know, one of those military trucks, and it's all just being on one of those trucks is cool. You know, people love it.
Now, I think for the haunt owner, third-foot's probably not a huge thing, and maintaining those guns is kind of a pain.
And we have heard roundabout stories from haunt owners. I won't mention names on it because you know. But we've heard things like you got to watch out. Sometimes you've got bad people that come on it, and they'll bring their own paintballs and they'll have them frozen, and they'll put them in the gun so it hurts the actors, and that's awful. But you got to that's where you have liability. You know, you got to watch out. You know, because you are shooting at people.
Yeah.
So,
you know, there's always someone trying to screw it up for everybody else.
They were asking, is there something else you'd like to see in a haunt? That maybe we haven't seen.
I wish we saw a little bit more stuff, kind of like what Erebus does. Like, I mean, I don't want to give things away, but they're known for it. They have one room you get in, and then all of a sudden the whole room fills up with balls, like all the way up to your neck, and you can't even move. I mean, it's so unique. I love things that are like that are it's almost like it's old school kind of, but it's very, very effective. And I don't like it. What I don't like is when some places, and it happens like in Alabama sometimes, but really it happens in North Carolina. Sometimes you'll go in these mazes that are pitch dark, and they have the walls electrified, and it shocks you, and I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy. That's not scary. It's just, it hurts. It's not fun.
And
some people probably love it. I'm sure if you're there with your girlfriend, they're screaming, they're holding on to you, but it's not fun when you're my age.
See, I only want to do that when, you know, we tell customers don't touch anything. What do the customers do? Touch things.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to have one of those electric walls near the beginning when you tell them not to touch things, just to shock them, but not in the dark where you're forced to do it, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's a pitch black maze, so you have to bump into it. And that is, I mean, I'm not being mean about it. It's just, I don't like that personally. I'm sure some people think, it's fun. I don't know, but I really don't like it. I don't mind being in a pitch dark maze. To me, anytime you're in the pitch dark, it's kind of scary because you don't know what's in there with you. But if it's just the point just to shock me all the time, I don't enjoy that. And I wish I could bypass it. That is another thing that people need to do in their haunts, in my opinion. And not necessarily ADA compliant, but you need to realize you got some people going through with bad backs or whatever, and I don't like it when they have things where you have to bend down and, like it's 4 feet tall and you have to bend down and walk 30 feet bent over. Some people can't do that. Like, it's harder for me now. Yeah. And I don't like it when they don't have an alternate way around it. And they say that's the only way you can go. You have to go through it. I don't like that. I like when they have a little alternate way you can go around,
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a wheelchair thing. It's just a thing for, don't make it where people over 40 can't go to your haunt, although I'm 60.
This kind of leads into my next question. You mentioned that, those people had younger kids that couldn't go through the regular haunt. But do you see haunts generally focusing towards the more mature, blood, guts, and gore, or is it more catering to the teens and the tweens? Do you see a change in how things look and what ages they're catering to?
I think that's more kind of a local decision. And I give you an example. Woods of Terror and Spooky Woods, two of our very favorite haunts, okay, or attractions, I should say.
We have a lot of favorites.
Yeah. They're 20 miles apart, if even that far. And Greensboro, where they are, is not, a huge city by any stretch. You go to Spooky Woods, and it is very, very family focused. So you see a lot of families there. The kids will be there. The 10-year-old kids are there. There's a lot, that's where you can go eat those donuts and drink your cider and all that stuff. And their haunted trail is excellent, and there's all kinds of things to do there.
It's a very family-oriented vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go up to Woods of Terror. Awesome, gory, scary.
It's not gory, but it's more geared to the 20-year-olds and 30s and the teens. It's more hardcore haunt.
And that's the one with the huge bar he built. He's got a live band playing rock and roll music. It is definitely geared to the high schoolers,
Two totally
the 20
different vibes. Two totally different
Yeah.
vibes. And it seems that we see it more that way, like the haunt's either geared to more family or it's geared to more hardcore haunt. But we don't hardly ever see it where it's got both in it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's either one or the other. But,
Yeah. So
though those hardcore haunts, they still take their 8-year-olds too.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, some of them do it, but it's just interesting where you are too, as to what kind of haunt it's going to be.
But the funny thing is, even though it's family oriented, the less hardcore one does just as well as the hardcore one. They both do very well.
Yeah.
So there's room for both,
There is definitely room for both. Definitely room for both.
Spooky Woods has pumpkins for sale and, that kind of thing. Like, let's go over to the pumpkin patch and pick out a pumpkin and take it home. You're not going to see that at Woods of Terror,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody there's out dancing and, partying all night. And
it's just two
different
totally different vibes.
Right. Yeah.
Both have their pluses.
Yeah. So
now, one of the things that I have we'll call it a personal interest in, is when people go to those more extreme haunts, they're more likely to get scared and chicken out. Do lots of places tally their chicken outs? I was in a haunt in it was a dark house haunt in Niagara Falls, the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. And they're the ones that you see the big pictures of everybody up against that wall and everybody's getting scared. And there's a whole group that gets scared. But they tally their chicken outs and they've got a chalkboard out front that's like, 5,000 people have chickened out this year.
Yeah. We used to see that. We don't see that hardly ever anymore. Very rarely.
Yeah.
But we used to see that. It was
Okay,
more
Brian,
like
we got some marketing to do. Yeah, we got some marketing to do, Brian.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't see that, like Nick said.
When we went on the Nashville HauntCon tour, I think they were all owned by the same person, but like 4 haunts, and every one of them kind of had boards, like how many people went to the bathroom on them.
How many threw up in there?
Yeah, but
how many?
we saw that. That was about the only place we've seen it. We've seen it a little bit occasionally, but it's not much. It seemed like it was a lot more of it before, like 7 years ago, but now I don't see it much at all.
How about claustrophobia bags that you got to squeeze tongues?
I was going to bring that up. I think I've seen less of those. Well, COVID came and they all got deflated.
Much less.
And I don't know how many of them got reinflated, and I'm very happy about it.
See, I like claustrophobias. I like those. We still see a fair amount of the vortex tunnels.
Yeah.
We still see those occasionally. But the claustrophobia bags are pretty rare now, and I like them. I mean, Beverly doesn't like, having her face on with 10,000 other people's faces, man.
Yeah, it's just not my thing.
I think they're kind of fun.
You know what I do like is laser swamps.
I like that.
Because those.
I love the laser swamps.
Yeah.
If they're executed right. Because we've seen some that aren't executed right, and we tell the haunt owner, you need to bring that laser down another foot.
Well, it's funny. When we talk about to me, every haunt pretty much has something good about it. Even if it's what people would think is a bad one, there's always something good. Like that little haunt in Georgia we went to was $13. It was just in a double wide on some end of a dirt road. But they had a laser swamp at the end of it. And when we were with Leonard, and he said, I've never seen this before. We went through the laser swamp. They had stuff under the lasers rubbing against you, so you felt like you were going through a swamp. It felt like brush or something, you know, like I don't know, swamp moss or something. And I was like, this is awesome. And this was in some dude's double wide that was his grandmother's, and she died, and he made a haunt out of it. But he did something that I've never seen anybody else do. Usually it's a laser swamp, you're just walking through a maze that you can't see where it is. But this, it had stuff brushing up against you. It felt like swamp stuff. I don't know.
Swamp.
Our laser swamp this year had a witch and an alligator in it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some really, really cool ones, and then we've seen some, the lasers aren't in the right place, so there's not enough fog in it.
Yeah, some of you can tell they didn't buy their fog juice from Froggy, so it just kind of limp, you know. But still, I do love them.
Yeah. Well, what other unique things, without giving everything away, what are a couple other unique or very memorable moments you've seen in the past, years that you've been doing this?
Well, the most memorable for me was this past year here at Boogerwoods. Oh. We had to get in a taxi that was supposed to take you deep into the Boogerwoods. Well, it was insane. That's where we all got hurt, most of us. And you get in this black painted van that's 20 feet long, and all the seats have been taken out, and they just put benches that go like from the back of the driver's seat all the way to the back door. The benches ran with the truck, not side, not 90 degrees.
Okay.
And as soon as you got in it, the guy just floors it, and you're careening through the woods with no lights on. There's no lights on the truck, and there's no lights in the forest, and it was terrifying. Not like haunt terrifying, like I thought we were going to die. And we actually hit a tree, scraped the whole side of the van with a tree, and I was like, we're going to die on this thing. And that's where, when I came down, if you go find that post, I put it out there Beverly put it out there 3 weeks ago, you'll see a picture of my forearm with about an 8-inch, really bad. I got hurt pretty bad on that thing, and I'm still not mad about it. It was fun, but it was crazy. And when we were in that van, that taxi thing, we hit a bump, and we went airborne. Every one of us hit our heads on the ceiling in the It was insane, but it was fun. Wow. But it was a charity hunt, and everybody there's a volunteer. All the money went to cystic fibrosis, and they said last year, in I think 3 or so weeks, they gave $84,000 to cystic fibrosis.
Wow,
which is amazing. So I love that haunt. But if you go read reviews, people are like, I broke my ribs there, got a concussion. I mean, it's wild. And then, going to Ravens Glen Inn in Mount Carroll, I'll never forget that.
Going down the slide.
Yeah, we went down. Like,
anybody that's been there, that's been there, that is the most memorable place. Beverly, do you have any standout things?
One thing I'll never do again is go into a ball pit and try to walk 10 feet across it. And they weren't the balls that are like for playing,
These were balls they put in a reservoir so the water doesn't evaporate, and they're hard and they're heavy.
And you can't move.
Yeah.
And they were like 2.5 feet deep.
Trailer.
And that was in Houston. Yeah, that was in the shipping container.
I'll never do that.
Oh, I know another thing that was fun. It was cool that you did it, but you hated it. That was on our first HauntCon. They put you in a coffin, and then they slid.
I didn't hate it.
They slid her down on these rollers, like when you're taking stuff off a truck or whatever. In the coffin, but it like went through a wall, then it slammed into another room in the wall, and she said it was crazy.
Tire.
Yeah, the tires or something.
Wow.
That was fun. Yeah, but not everybody got to do it. It's just like one person out of a group. So I guess they all hated me. They told me to get in the coffin. So
there's a haunt we've been to twice and have never been able to go to it because it was not open, and it just turned out. And I want to go, and it was in Kansas City. It's called The Beast. Never been to it. It looks awesome, and I've heard good things. But they said it's like a 4-story building, and they said sometimes, I don't know if they still do it, they used to have a thing you could pay extra, and you could jump out of the 4-story window and land on a fireman's thing, like, where you jump out of a building. They hired the fire people to do that, and I was like, that's insane. I mean, there's some crazy
I'd pass
things
on that one.
Me too. I've been there. I've been there, but I haven't witnessed that. I'm not sure, but I know there's a big slide. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm here,
there's the macabre.
Well, the cinema macabre or whatever. Yeah. But I think there's a slide in there too, though.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, we didn't get to see any of them. We got there on a Tuesday, and they're like, "Well, we're not open till Friday, so
well, it could be I get those two mixed up because there's the Edge of Hell and the Beast. I can't remember which one has a
Yeah,
slide.
at the Edge of Hell.
Right. And I
Oh, that was one of my favorite memories. We didn't get to go in that either, but we just happened to drive by it and look at it. I told Beverly I just wanted to take pictures of the exterior. And then while we were there, they drove up in a van. Everybody piled out. It was their actors. And they had just done a TV segment on the local news. And so they're all dressed up. And then one of them, the girl came over. She said, I'll show you my act. Then she pulls out this big rat and sticks the rat's head in her mouth like she's going to eat it. And the rat just lets her do it. And he's got his feet in her mouth. I was like, oh, my God.
Out.
Of course, I do have video of that, too.
I was just like, what am I watching?
I did take video of it, so I do have that to prove it. But, we've seen a lot of crazy stuff. That's why we love going to haunts. You just never know.
You never know.
What do you think about
Have
getting
you been
wet?
to any, oh, go ahead, Brian.
What do you think about getting wet while you're in haunts?
Hate it.
Because it's usually cold.
Like, here's a good example. Like,
Yeah.
I love, there's so many of them we love, but like Cutting Edge in Dallas area, at the end of it, they have a big foam thing you have to go through. I don't want to get all foam wet, but it's part of it. And, I'm sure people like that, but not when I'm on a haunt tour and I got to get on the bus and it's cold, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, and again at Booger Woods, when you're on that taxi, they said, first we got to go through the car wash, and they had no windows in that van. And then these clowns came out and started spritzing water on everybody through the open windows because there were no windows. And then they had bubble machines. So it was like you were going through a car wash, and then they started flooring the van. It was insane.
Have you been to any lights out haunts?
Usually it's at the end of the season when they're just,
Yep.
we've been to a fair amount of those.
Yeah, it doesn't really do it for us.
It's okay, but no, we don't. We prefer
It's a totally different vibe. We had a lot of people at our 2 nights of lights out. It was we have the entrance times a little slower so that it takes people a little bit longer, but people seem to love it. We had a couple of people that went to the haunt multiple times this year. They go with one group and then go with another group, and then they come back for lights out as well. It's just wild.
I will say, we have been through some that were lights out that were very good, but to me, that you do have to put a little bit of effort in to make them good. I don't know what you have to do, but some of them were pretty darn good with the lights out. And the other ones, you could tell they just turned the lights out and gave me a glow stick, which there's no actors, whatever. But I don't know. I've seen some that were good, but this seems to be the rarity. They're rarely pretty good.
Well, and I like to see, to see the actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
but
part of the whole thing.
So, Daryl, when you do lights out, is it completely dark or is there like small lights?
we have lights on the stairs. One of the haunts has some overhead lighting, so there's a little bit of ambient light, but at the same point, the one they came into the first room. There's a little bit of ambient light when the door opens, but they get closed into this fully dark room. The character turns on a candle, surprises the heck out of the people, does the little rules thing, takes the glow stick, blows out his candle. It's an electronic candle, so he just, turns the power off as he blows it out, grabs the glow stick and goes, "Here you go," and throws it down the hallway.
That's
it's only a few feet, but it alarms the people. And then we've had 2 groups that didn't bother picking up the glow stick and just tried to fight their way through this dark room. And that's the one that ends up outside. Once you get outside, there's ambient lights, there's street lights from a block away. If there's a little bit of fog in the area, you get that glow and stuff. So, but it was fun. It was great. And it was fun watching them on camera. I usually get to watch people on security camera, and they'd come into the room, it'd be pitch black. He'd come up behind them and turn on the light, and it would just freak them right out because they had no idea that anybody was there. So
I think that's very clever, and I think I would like that. I mean, we've had actually here in Jacksonville, 13th floor here, they had lights out, and then sometimes they'll go and they'll take your glow stick from you and not give it to you for another 40 feet. That's about the same as like throwing it down the hall, I guess,
Yeah.
And but then I always wondered, is there an issue with the fire marshals on that? Like, or I guess not, because they know you'll turn the lights on if there's a problem real quick.
Yeah, and there's probably some workarounds. I don't know if our fire marshal knew that we were doing that, because anyways.
Yeah, I just always wondered about that. kind of hard to get out, unless they have instantaneous, they can turn the lights on real easily and quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most
and
people
he
have
was
a-
standing there with an electric candle in his hand. So, if there was any issues, turn the candle back on. He never let it go, right?
Yes. I will say one thing that I used to think was kind of fun, now I don't like it, is when they do a room that is absolutely, it's like a whiteout. It's all fog and you can't see and you can't find your way out. I used to think
Cutting
those were
Edge
kind
has
of
one of
neat.
those too.
Y'all have one? Yeah.
Cutting Edge did. Yeah.
It can be done right, but if it's absolutely totally pitch, pure white and you can't see anything, it's really, because then people start, if you know that it's froggy fog or whatever and you know it's safe, okay. But otherwise, if it's sketchy fog juice, I don't want to be breathing that in. I want to get out. Not that I'm scared. I don't want to get in.
Right.
So,
And you can't
I know
breathe.
one thing
Then
I
it's not
like.
fun.
That's right. What's that?
I like it, but you don't see it too often. You see them every now and then. I love going in a room. They have like 6 doors, and you have to pick which door you want to go through.
Yeah.
Then they'll have you whining around, and what happens? You come back in that room, and you're like, dang it.
Yeah. I mean, it screws up throughput, I'm sure, but it's a neat idea.
It's fun. It's fun. If it's executed right, it's very, very good.
Yes. Those are rare.
But
Yeah.
As far as throughput on those, I think what they do, if they're having issues getting
They have
people
actors
pushed
in
through,
there,
they'll have actors in there pushing you to the door just to get you out to keep moving.
Well, what's funny is a lot of times the actor that's supposed to push you out will purposely tell you to go the wrong way, and then you come back in and you're like, then you don't trust them. Then they'll tell you again, then they finally will tell you how to get out.
Yeah, I think those are very fun and they're memorable.
Yeah.
Do you see more scare actors, animatronics, mix of both?
I see a lot less animatronics now.
Yeah.
But we haven't been
It
to
depends
really,
on
we haven't
where
been to
you
the
go.
major haunts lately.
Yeah, I mean, Netherworld's full of animatronics.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good ones.
Darkness.
Darkness in St. Louis. But
I still think
it
it's
seems
a
like
mix.
I don't see as much. It is a mix, but it seems like a little bit less. But also, we've been going to a different mix of haunts lately too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you go to Alabama, you're not going to see a lot of animatronics. You're going to see people.
Yeah, same in North Carolina. You won't see many.
Well, there's that
But
big
you'll see
cost
'em
factor because those animatronics are not cheap, right?
I know.
That's right.
And you got to keep them operating too.
Yeah, it seems like the Ohio haunts have a lot of
Yeah, a lot of
animatronics.
Ohio haunts have them, and I mean, yeah, they're okay. I'm no problem.
I think my favorite kind of haunt is when the building it's in is cool by itself. Penhurst Society, or what?
Yeah, Penhurst Asylum in Philadelphia.
in Eastern State, and
Eastern State.
the things like that are in Waverly Hills.
Well, and Dent Schoolhouse.
Then schoolhouse.
Things like that. Well,
Yeah,
and even Hell's Gate, they designed that haunt.
Yeah.
They built a building to make it the way they wanted to look. So yeah, that's a good point. I do like it. I mean, like you can go to a strip mall and have a really good haunt, but you still know while you're in there, you're in a strip mall.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not
You put a
exactly.
cemetery of a strip mall haunt,
Yeah.
and it's still a cemetery and a strip mall.
Mall, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it sets a story from the very beginning when you walk up there.
Yeah.
And see the facade.
And
Yeah.
especially those ones like Eastern State Penn or Penhurst. If it's a really nice night out and the clouds are cool,
Yeah.
there's nothing cooler than that effect.
Yeah.
You can't.
Well, that
build
is another good point, though. As far when y'all were asking what's a memorable thing, to me, Penhurst, it's got it has an underground tunnel. They used to, because it was a mental asylum or whatever up in Pennsylvania, and they had a 1/4-mile long tunnel where they would take patients from one side of the campus all the other. Well, now you go through that. Now think how scary that is. You're underground for a 1/4 mile till you get out, and while you're under there, whatever monsters are down there, they've got you till you get out the other end. That to me is very memorable, and it's a good scare. But to me, it seems very dangerous if there's a fire. So how does that work? I don't know.
Well, then you go to Haunted Overload up
That's
in
just
New
a
Hampshire.
beautiful artistry there.
And it's if you go there on a beautiful night, there's nothing like it. The way the moon's shining on the structure.
The structures are beautiful.
It's just incredible.
That's in Lee, New Hampshire, yeah.
Yeah, I've been following her.
That's
for
one of the
many
ones on my
years.
bucket list. I'd love to go see that one.
Me too.
Oh, it is so worth it. I'm telling you. When we went there the first time, we were just like, Wow. I mean, it's just like, how did they build these things?
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
Well, Eric Lothar, the owner, he's an artist, I think, and he comes up with these things, and somehow they make them happen. And the only reason we ever went there, I saw it on a History Channel or Travel Channel thing, like scariest places in America, scariest haunted houses or whatever. And they showed that one, and I was like, I've got to see that. I just didn't think it could really be that cool looking, and it was.
It's amazing.
We've talked to Eric before, interviewed him. We've talked to lots of others, and I've seen lots of videos, and there's lots of people that, go do haunt tours and stuff. And it's like, oh, I so want to go. I just kind of am busy with my own haunts. So I got to find a.
And that's the one thing we hear from almost every haunt owner. They always tell us, we want to do what you're doing, but we can't. They're like, we want to go see other haunts. And they're like, but I have to work. When they're open, that's when I'm open. So that's the one thing everybody says to us. We want to do what you're doing.
And that's where things like off-season haunt tours and stuff come in handy,
That's right. That's why I hope the haunts will continue to agree to do these haunt tours. I know it's not probably real profitable for them, but if you don't do that, nobody ever gets to see anything that's in the business, and it's not fair,
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Exactly.
If people love what they do, they should be able to see it. See these other places.
Because I do love a good haunt, especially going on a bus tour with a bunch of other people where you don't have to drive.
Yes.
It's a blast. It's so fun.
Wow, this conversation just kind of come full circle.
There you go.
Well, it's obvious y'all love what you do, and you can tell we love what we do. So thank y'all for what you do.
We sure can tell.
Well, we appreciate y'all's sacrifices so we can have fun. Y'all risk your money, your time, your talent, your treasure, everything. So we.
Well, you are well known in the. You're well known in the haunt industry, and you're well loved from everybody I've ever talked to about you. So.
Well, thank you. Well, the same about y'all. I hear. I mean, y'all are both friends of mine on Facebook, and I don't know y'all real well personally, but I do feel like I do. And it's just, we love the industry, and we're so happy that everybody accepted us, even though we don't have a haunt, we don't own any company. We just go around seeing them.
Great.
But we support
you're part of the spirit of the haunts.
Craig says,
Yes,
good
sir.
people. He said, good people. Thanks. He's been chatting us in the chat room. Before we leave, Craig had one last question about projection effects. You see a lot of projection effects, like where they take over the whole room, different cameras or different projections.
One cool projection effect, I've only seen it twice. Once was at Disney, and it was on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, where they projected an image on like fog that was coming down,
Mm-hmm.
And they did that in New Orleans at the mortuary. They had a room up on the top floor, where they had this like mist coming down. They had a projector on it. It was really effective. And I wish more people would do it, but I think
two other places.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Lake Hickory Haunts, when you were first walking into their midway,
that's right.
They had this big pirate ship above you, and they had projections going on it.
That's right. You weren't even in the haunt yet.
Right.
Yeah, it was when you first got there. That was very well done.
And then also at Legends of Fear, they built a big mansion or something, and they do Christmas and Halloween, and so they have different projections on it.
But now that's not with the mist. That's when they project it on the building. Yeah. And then Spooky Woods does that in Greensboro.
Oh, that's
too.
right. Yeah.
They project on the building, and so that's kind of a little bit of a trend we've seen a little bit of. I think it's very expensive to do it, but if you can do it right, it's awesome.
Yeah. So we've seen it not inside so much.
It's always exterior.
Outside on a big
building. I think Disney started that with their Not So Scary show, when they do it on the castle, and it's awesome. But I think you got to have somebody that has the expertise and how to set that up, and you got to buy all the equipment. I bet it's pretty darn expensive.
And I think,
but it's awesome if you get it done right.
And down the road,
really
people
cool.
are probably going to start having drone shows.
Yeah, I mean, it's not scary, but it's cool, and people like cool stuff.
Yes,
and darn well people take pictures, and they're going to tell everybody.
The drone shows will be coming next.
Yeah.
And one last question I have: what advice would you give to people that want to start traveling and seeing attractions?
Plan.
It's a lot of work getting ready. You've got to get everything ready at your house. You got to stop your mail. If you take medications, you got to get all your medications ready. We always take the truck in. I try to time it when we go on our trip that I get my oil change right when we're leaving. I get everything inspected, the belts, the hoses, all that stuff. You've got to let me think what else.
Pay all your bills ahead of time or online.
Yeah, there's a lot of planning involved, especially for Beverly, having to look at altitudes too. I mean, and then also you got to find out when are these haunts open. You've got to schedule as you're driving around. How long is it going to take you to get there, and are they going to be open, or are you going to miss them by a day? And then you got to plan, when am I going to do laundry, and what are you going to do in between haunts? You know, that's when we go to escape rooms or maybe go watch a movie or whatever. But we try to make it where we're going to the most haunts we can. We don't want to just have days where we're just doing laundry.
I have found that in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh area, those guys like come the middle of October till the end of October. Those guys are almost open every single day, which there's no other place I found on the East Coast of the United States that does that. You know, that they may open on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But I mean, in the Philadelphia and Pittsburgh area, they're open on Monday and Tuesdays too.
Yeah, and see, that's great for us.
So when we're traveling around, I'll plan to hit Philadelphia last, so we can go to haunts every single night.
And then another thing, believe it or not, for planning, plan your medical stuff. If you know you're going to have a crown done or something, get it done before you go. Because last year we were on the tour, and Beverly, we didn't know it, but she had to have a root canal. And we were up in Chicago, and she had some extensive dental work done. And the dentist up there said, "I'm not touching this. You need to go back home." We had to drive 20 hours back home.
In pain.
Yeah, while she was in pain for her to do the root canal because they didn't want to touch it. So it cut like the last week and a half off. I didn't mind, but Beverly felt bad. But
I was so sad.
But you know, if we had, and I think she knew. They said you're going to probably be needing a root canal on that tooth coming up. We should have done it before we left.
I know. I should have sucked it up and did it.
So see, there's all these things you have to think about, you know. And if you have a pool, you got to make sure you got something to keep the water level up. You don't want that to like run dry, you know, or mess up the pump. You've got to have somebody look after your yard. You know, you got to. There's a lot.
If you have,
you've got to make sure you have. I'm sorry.
We don't have.
We don't have any pets.
You don't have any pets, but there are lots of people that are haunters that have pets, and if they decide to go do this, right?
Yeah, it'd be a nightmare if you had pets because it's not fair to the animal. I mean, we used to have pets, so when we had them, we didn't go anywhere because.
Or it's not fair to your adult children who have to babysit the pets in the house.
That's right. Yeah, and we don't have any children, so that's right.
Yeah, I told him about 10 or 12 years ago when our last dog passed away. I said, okay, either we get another dog or we travel. What do you pick? And we both picked traveling.
Yeah. So because it's just not fair to the dog. I mean, you know, it tears your heart out when you come back and the dog looks like, I thought you were never coming back. You know, I hate that.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do that for an animal.
I just live vicariously through my grand dogs for now. We don't have pets anymore. So
well, and we also want to thank you guys for having shows like this because you keep the community connected, you keep Halloween alive, you keep the haunt industry alive, you help keep it alive, and it's fun to listen to. It's interesting, and y'all perform a great service. We need people like y'all, so we appreciate y'all.
Well, we appreciate the heck out of you guys too for doing everything that you do. Now you're not selling anything. But where can people find you? Where can they find Nick and Beverly Pappas and all of the stuff that you guys do every year? What social media or stuff do you guys have?
Facebook only. Facebook.
Okay.
We don't want to make the job.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of a job for Beverly. She has to do all the planning, and then she does most of the posting. You know, I post occasionally, but mostly Beverly does. But you know, every hunt we go to, I don't care how good or whatever. We will never post anything negative. If something wasn't good, like a smaller or just whatever haunt, we will never say that. We'll just say what the good things we saw were. You know, we want
always look for the good stuff. Let's spread that all over. All of the good stuff. The world needs more of that.
That's right. I'm not going to put any negatives. And also, if I think it's a bad thing, maybe somebody else likes that. I don't know. So I'm not going to put that.
Or it was just a bad night.
Yeah, maybe that. Who knows? So we put what we liked, and we'll tell our experience, and and we try to encourage people to go because we know this is these people's livelihoods, and also we want the haunts to do well so we can go to them.
Now, are there any conventions or anything that you guys are planning on going to this next year?
Always Trans World. We're going to IAPA
Monday.
On Monday. We're leaving again for IAPA for a week, and that's in Orlando, and then Transworld in St. Louis, and then not sure next year. We've never ever been to Midwest Haunters. We may go. We've never been. Nothing against it.
We're always in Canada.
You got to keep in mind too. All this driving I do, it's a killer. It's really hard.
I can imagine.
And the traffic is getting so bad. And when you go up to Washington, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, all that, it's a nightmare up there. Atlanta, awful. I hate it.
Now, we did go to East Coast Haunters in Philadelphia this year. It was the first time they'd had it there, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that was the first year ever, and we really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
We won't go the way we went. We'll never go on the train again. We used to go on the train a lot of times in the past on our trips, our summer trips. That had nothing to do with haunts. But now it's gotten to be such a hassle. We can't even do that anymore. We'll just drive.
So
it's just hard. It's hard if you're really hitting it hard for like 4 to 6 weeks and you're trying to go almost every night a different city. Think about 4 to 6 weeks a different hotel room every night. It's very hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's hard on your body, and my parents are older now, and they're having a hard time. So it's kind of put a little bit of a crimp in it for us. We don't mind, but it just makes it harder now. But we're still doing our best. We're going to give it our Haunters best.
Well, I'm looking forward
to seeing you guys at Transworld. I missed it this year because of my own medical issues. I'm hoping that I can make it there next year. We're all booked and got our table and stuff. So make sure you drop on by. Gotta shake you guys' hands again, and good to see you. Hopefully I get a chance.
Yeah, I'm dealing with a little medical issues on the side too. So yeah, we'll pray for you, and we're gonna love to see both of y'all, and we look for Craig as well, and just looking forward to more fun at Transworld and seeing all our friends.
Looking forward to those Facebook videos and pictures once you guys get them posted.
Yeah, Beverly will be putting them out there. You know what I'll do? I'll have her send you again I'll have her send it to you in Messenger or whatever, the picture of my arm from Boogerwoods, and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
You got to be tough to go to some of these haunts. You got to be tough.
That's right.
It was pretty rough, but we loved it.
You'll never forget that experience.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
It was fun, but every one of us got injured, so that tells you
I'm
something.
still breathing.
But anyhow, thank you for thinking of us and for offering us this opportunity. I mean, we hope we can give somebody some information that they can use.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure a lot of people listen to it and get some great ideas from it. So,
well, it has been wonderful talking to you as well. So thank you very much for enlightening us and everybody that's listening to our webinars.
Brian, Daryl, thank you very much.
You guys have a blessed evening, and we will see you at Transworld. Please look us up. If you see us, stop by the booth or after party.
And yes, sir.
We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good night.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night.
This podcast episode sponsored by Scarlet Badges. Get your Scare Badges at scarebadges.com. Also sponsored by Haunters Toolbox. Take your haunt to the next level at haunterstoolbox.com. Thank you for listening to Haunt Topic Radio. Please leave a comment wherever you found this podcast. Each comment you leave will help spread the word to other haunters around the world. See you next time.